ranking title. Up against his fellow Geordie from the northeast, Elliot Slessor. Very good for, of course, is the qualifier. And this is actually only their second meeting, their first being at the British Open, at a ranking titleist.
Yes, absolutely, and it's good to be in the top 16, playing a qualifier. But there's no easy matches nowadays against qualifiers.
Yes, I think Slessor is one of those players who definitely thrives the last 32 round. But he played well in biggest title this season, the Welsh Open.
Well, that's a good each other's game inside out.
Yes, they're managed by the same guy, Paul Rinaldi. I believe you know him, Joe.
So, an early chance. Oh, played it with so much left-hand side on the cue ball. And
yeah, having been 7-5 down in the first round, then beat Mark Selby, Ali Carter.
All those feelings come back. But you've got to get onto a run first.
Whitewash to Jamie Clark when his game wasn't in the best shape. In fact, going into the Scottish Open in Edinburgh this season, Joe O'Connor can't fluke a ranking title. They're too difficult to win, but he wants to be a multiple.
Yeah, at this visit. Managed to nudge another. He knows how good he is. As I say, they play together in practice. Being is dominant over the other. It's a real advantage, but that's... But he'll be two maximums. How about that? Yeah. Chose to split them. Yep, that's the one that he needed.
Those victories over O'Sullivan, evidence of that. You see, courtesy of victories over Ian Martin, Liam Highfield, that was a... booked his place back here in the final qualifying round by beating... No problem. Now clear the table if he can and keep Slessor in his chair. Continue to finalist. I think he came very close to qualifying for the Tour Championship for the top 8 this season, Gary Wilson, with the consistency of results he's had. Made the semi-finals of the WST. Was that he was able to secure his seeding for this tournament. Elliot Slessor coming back to the tape frame too. But it looks like we've already had a century, by the way, in the match on table 1 at the moment. Jack Lazowski against Noppon break in the opening frame.
$16. $21.
Just test these balls along the cushion. I'd be pleased to see that one go in. New.
yet to trouble the scorers, breaking off in frame 2.
Foul and a miss. Elliot Slessor 4.
And won't be the last. But he did recover to make a real match of it. Ended up losing 10-7 in the end, but he felt as though if he'd just something tangible to build on for when your form does return.
Yeah, you've got to realise that everybody has bad sessions, you included. And great pot. That will give him a bit of confidence. Needs an angle on the colour to get back to the reds.
A better start today against his good mate. And that second round match between the respective winners will start on Saturday.
Yeah, make it.
One. Four.
Easy pot missed.
So contributing to his ranking points tally, Turkish Masters. Quarter-final. And it's got to help, hasn't it, coming back to a venue where you have very happy memories of playing.
He's back. A good performance. He's getting chances. He's creating.
In full flow, he likes to get on with it, Wilson. Oh, hang on. Has that got the legs? Gap between his A and B games, which he's trying to work on. Trying to become more consistent coming into this tournament.
When he takes his next red, green on that cue ball.
24.
And this will frustrate Gary Wilson, and in the process get an early foothold in this match, as mentioned.
Took care.
48.
And that's the thing, isn't it, Joe? He hadn't settled.
The pace out of pink.
When he got one at the back end of the frame, when it was well and truly won, that you don't mind getting one in those circumstances. For 2-0. But credit to Slessor. He's got playing as they can. In full flow.
72.
Century.
70.
in this session. 10, of course, is the target for a meeting with either Mark Selby or Matt Selt in the last 16. Tyne and Weir. Excellent pot. Comes here with the comfort of knowing he's already bagged £20,000 and points for getting to the Crucible. He was hooked immediately.
Being a snooker. He's pushed the red over the corner. This opening shot, all important. Doesn't want to hit it too thin like that.
1.
The pots are not a bad... And it did. Be above the black. Yeah, nice pair of snazzers.
Oh, goodness.
Well, that was... Nice pot. And nicely on the... That's a good pot and position.
Made his first one back in 2015 when he lost heavily to Mark Selby by Mark Williams in the final of the British Open. He made 3 centuries in 4 frames against Tepchire and New, and then dominated
Game at this visit. In the colour after this black. Played it table.
into the right corner earlier in the frame, but Slessor couldn't take advantage.
So I won't want to leave any reds on.
The disappointment of the previous frame when a possible kick cost him when he was eyeing us, both trying to deny the other a place in the last 16 at the World Championship. 62 the deficit.
Well, maybe he just wants to have a few more shots out there, isn't it?
and with that miss. Elliot Slessor breaking off in the frame before the first interval. 2-1 down to Gary Wilson, just their second meeting.
So there's no fear factor there. You'll expect to pop those though.
And deep runs in a couple of others against Elliot Slessor, who's had a poor season. Elliot Slessor is battle-hardened, came through that decider, remember, against Liam Highfield, and beat Zhou Yu's entire campaign.
Cue ball to the baulk cushion. And try and keep the game flowing.
He's a father to young Hallie, his daughter born back. He's clearly a player who thrives, as we've already mentioned, on
first one that gets it tight puts his opponent in trouble. And that oh, very close. But that was his intended shot, to try and get that. Okay. Which I think is playing. Yes.
oh goodness.
Well, blue or pink has got to be the choice.
$14.
Had to play it with right hand side on the cube.
$36.
Nicely recovered.
So went in off, which was the worst possible result.
That is going to inflict, if you can win the frame at this visit.
What might have been. And he's going to have another 15 minutes to stew a bit more.
He may still come back to the table.
Back underway. underway then. Gary Wilson 3-1 up. Elliot Slessor clearly frustrated as he left the arena at the end of the fourth frame because he had a middle pocket. But Slessor then went in-off into the left corner, and Wilson made the most. Mark Selby or Matt Selt to play the winner. Oh, that's a terrific pot. Really well cued from Slessor.
Elliot Slessor 1.
Just gone, breaks of 46, 61, 50 and 62. As against the 90 from Slessor in frame 2, and as you can see, his sleeve out in the arena, but he doesn't see that as a negative. Ooh.
Very difficult to get to a colour, not impossible. That's a great shot.
No aid to break building in this frame.
Gary Wilson.
Caught them much too thick. And this... Oh, he's missed that by a long way. A little bit of nerves.
But he's been granted a reprieve by Wilson. Now, can he take advantage? Something similar here.
Four.
.56 for his career.
Well, that was a... Yeah, big shot because he was almost certainly going...
Wilson punish him.
Oh, well, what can...
The early advantage he built before the interval, and that's got to encourage Elliot Slessor that he's not been able...
I think his attitude would have been different given the opportunities that he's had in this phrase.
Seven.
It is how big a frame this is.
Makes you wonder how nervous it might be. Errors from Slessor. And he got 2 points to show.
Another chance gone begging. Is he going to... Every frame in practice.
At least to get back into the frame for Gary Wilson.
Leave an angle here to be able to go into them.
Very left eye dominant Wilson in the way he cues. It works very well for him though. But this frame has been errored.
But bring the pink into play. Send the red down the table, bring the pink into play. That could have been an option. That's... Well, that was a long way away, but he's got away off the cushion though, Philip. I'm very surprised at him playing that shot and brought the other red into play. I just don't understand that last shot he played. red behind the black.
One of those. The chances he's had in this one. Oh,
He's missed the ball. Free ball.
crikey.
That. Yeah, still plenty of nerves left in this game, though. Just like that.
Even matches won and lost.
Pocket big.
Stretch, but the most eventful.
And probably the most important.
Slick some real pain on his good mate from Tyneside.
21.
Good.
Yeah,
26.
it's made the pink miss. Right in the middle. That's a big frame for Gary Wilson, and you can see mental toughness under pressure, and this is a real test of the progress that he might have made, because and that's rubbing salt in the wound. Beautifully cued from Gary Wilson. Is he on the black side of the equation? A real opportunity, you feel now, to build a handsome. Has it got the pace? Don't think so.
Foul and a miss.
Higgins and David Grace to a finish. Another chance for Wilson. Just the merest hint of a swerve. Wilson and Slessor back here on table 2. Yes, and presumably table 1 will be that bit more receptive than new. The pockets tend to be that little bit more generous.
Right now, this is playing very nicely.
Opportunities that came his way. But you just feel...
Up for the blue.
$37. $43.
So a gilt-edged chance.
Yeah, he's just got to take care. Not going to get too quick around the table.
This is 4th half-century of the session. In fact, by the end of this break, it might be treble before he left the free ball. Wilson cleared up. And now he's looking to... So we're in... Was when he first played here 3 years ago. Big frames coming up for him.
$80.
3 big frames. Missed out on the Tour Championship for the top 8. First title under his belt in Edinburgh. Control of this first round match.
3. Oh.
And he'll be looking for a really commanding one. If he can win 2 of the next 3, he'll put himself within 3 frames.
Fully expected to get that one. That's excellent. Helping in red. But
Gary Wilson.
and referee right. That's more like it. He's desperate to get in amongst them. Well worth a go. Head on the thin side. Wow, that was so... Dear.
The 90 break in the second frame, but nothing's gone his way since then. He looked firmly in control with balls awkward, but in the end looking to capitalise in a big way and take something close to an under.
Well, no reason. Well, it could still be 5-4 this session. So this is...
for Elliot Slessor.
2 open reds needed.
40.
You think how close Wilson came indicated that he knew he was very close to leaving it, and then it's probably 3-2, and this
52.
session has a very different look about it, but now
Well, that keeps him sat in his...
he probably played his worst snooker in the most important frame of this session, the 5th one. And has run with that momentum since.
Look at all the side on the cue ball there to gain position on this red.
He is a terrific cueist, there's no doubt about it. The Crucible since then. Lost out to Kyron Wilson. Well on his way, it would seem, to round 2 again. And a possible rematch. In the meantime, it's now... What a good break this has been.
It was a very loose pot from Elliot Slessor there, wasn't it?
92.
A frustrating pot, you think?
Yeah, I think on in the gap between sessions before they come back at 7 o'clock tonight, then he's still in with a shout. If Wilson can win one of the very important frames to conclude this first session.
Yeah, and the players know these facts, don't they?
Well, he talked about...
Leave that cue ball dead on the cushion, using the green to hide that red that it's closest to. Yeah, great opening pot, and he's going to be on the in such a way that it was a good safety. Had it not gone in.
From Wilson, there have been precious few of those, though, since that all-important 5th frame, where he did. Five breaks.
That is knocked in, you know, Gary. Very intimidating. Made a 61-6. 6th and 7th.
16.
He's not alone in that regard. So many of the top
22.
players have...
Yeah.
He's a winner. He can do it. He can cross the line in a big event.
But as long as he keeps scoring like this,
38.
it would help to play for that red. Some
to play snooker when it's going well, as it is for Wilson, can be the worst place.
red. And he's nearly there in this frame. Near the pink spot. To the corner, frame over.
Elliot Slessor can scare. Different it might have been had he won that 5th frame. That's the one that's been the telling frame.
Good
Good missed, Gary Wilson. But managed to drop it surely under his belt.
74.
One of your best mates can be difficult. But Gary Wilson, that's exactly what he's been. Cold-hearted.
82.
Professional snooker player, whatever you feel about your opponent away from the table, it's been all Gary Wilson. Elliot Slessor's break of 90 in the 2nd frame must feel like a very
89.
long time ago for him. On a couple of occasions will be determined to complete the century he's made here at the Crucible.
90.
Brilliant snooker, it really is. This is harking back to his 2009.
106.
He's not scored one since that.
113.
One of those players, Gary Wilson, forward, we know it's anything but he has bags of talent. Brilliant. A superb break from the forward. He's got to try and do. Win this frame. get out of this with something positive to think about before they come back tonight at 7. And that's what happens when you're struggling. You go for a long red, you miss it.
Doesn't want to be 8-1 down, no. Well,
times to struggle in the way he has. And I'm sure that, as mentioned, he has been utterly ruthless.
13.
Comes to its climax on the final day of the...
looking forward to it. Playing on the world final table as he tries to open stretch. Oh, and he stayed out. Now.
Well played.
Yeah, good shot. To set.
And I'm sure the lion's share of the crowd, even those rooting for Gary Wilson in this match, would not begrudge.
9.
And 7-2 down at the end of his only previous meeting, dividing wall up after Jack Lazowski took a 6-3 lead. Massed 60 points. And of course in the last...
30.
Because you never know how it's going to finish.
Chance now to stop the rot.
You know, if you can get on a run, you know, instinct. But now he's got to finish this one off. Nothing goes there.
45.
Nicely played.
Sat out the last 3 frames.
52.
And anything's possible in this game. Remember, he reeled off 5. If he can produce that kind of inspiration this evening.
60.
But that should ensure in positive fashion.
68.
He'll look back on the 5th from that one. And then he's only 3-2 behind. He's miscued there.
Elliot Slessor, 68.
So... for snookers. Always the chance of a free ball.
Wow, you see something like that. The black goes in, and all of a sudden...
For friendship, eh? Gary Wilson determined to make Elliot Slessor really scrap it out for this two. No quarter asked or given at the Crucible, regardless of personal friendships. That seals it for sure.
1.
So Elliot Slessor when they come back tonight. But it's Gary Wilson who's had a tremendous morning. 2019 semi-finalist.